So that's going to about wrap things up here for us tonight. As always, look for us on Instagram, Twitter at Civil Gore Pod, Facebook at facebook.com/civilgorepodcast, and drop us a line at Gmail at civilgorepodcast@gmail.com. And we'll see you next week.
Yes, well, we'll see you next week where we will discuss Q, the Winged Serpent. So that'll be good, because this episode was not too terrible.
So, in our 6 Degrees of Decapitation last week, we had you connect Ross Noble from Stitches to Bobcat Goldthwait from Shakes the Clown. So, two movie
clown to
clowns.
clown.
Clown to clown. So, we did that in 3 steps. So, Ross Noble was in The Clan MacLeod with David Macy. David Macy was in Transformers The Last Night with Frank Welker. And Frank Welker was in Rusty, A Dog's Tale with Bobcat Goldthwait.
Yeah, there you go. Interesting connection.
Yeah, a guy named Bobcat was in a dog movie.
Right, and a Bigfoot movie he directed. So he's one for all animals, I guess.
Yeah. All right. So what do we got for us this week, Brian?
Okay, so this week I gave 2 because I tried the first one I did basically was done and I got it in 2, and the same with the second one. So I figured I'd just give you 2 as a little bonus since they're kind of quick. First one is Janet Leigh, who was starring, of course, in Night of the Lepus, and that is Janet Leigh to Jennifer Jason Leigh. So, of course, Jennifer Jason Leigh in several movies that you've heard of, I would think.
She was incredible in Annihilation, by the way.
Oh, that's right. I forgot she's in that. Yeah, and she was great in the Twin Peaks revival. So she's doing well. So so basically, yeah. So and we did this in 2 also. So you got that one, and then the second one I decided to do was having a little fun with a name play here. DeForest Kelley to Forrest Whitaker. So, of course, DeForest Kelley was in Night of the Lepus also, and to Forrest Whitaker. So, there you go. So, you got 2. You got Janet Leigh to Jennifer Jason Leigh, and DeForest Kelley to Forrest Whitaker. And if you can get Janet Leigh, if you can get all 4 of them connected to Charlotte Rae, you get bonus.
Somebody will do it, I'm sure. All right, so let's take a look at our beer pairing this week.
Yeah, so we got. It's more of a brewery pairing again, because this one is I found a Red Hare Brewing Company out of Marietta, Georgia, and it's funny, obviously that's themed to our movie a little bit there, and what I did is but there were so many funny little pun and beer names that I figured I'd just do the brewery anyway. The brewery sounded great anyway. Red Hare Brewing Company. So they have some of the things they have is Cottontail Orange Creamsicle Ale.
Jeez,
which was fun to type. Let me tell you, because it kept autocorrecting. And then they have a Wabbit Wheat, and that's how it's spelled. WHABBIT. Wheat. So they're definitely getting the
yeah. It's very delicious.
Yes, and this one I have a feeling would be a big Tim and I beer here. Bright Eyed and Bushy Tailed Coffee IPA. So that's a lot going on in that beer apparently. Yeah. And then this one's one of my favorite ones. Hassenpfeffer Oktoberfest. That's just I would have to order that just because I always like to say Hassenpfeffer. Yeah. And then they also have a Rabbit Reserve series where they have several little options of their usual types of beer. They just kind of, I guess, make a special limited batch of them. And the collaboration, they have a couple of collaborations there with Optimistic Hare and Ill-Tempered Hare.
Nice. I'm surprised they don't have a bad hair day.
I know. I'm sure that's coming. That's probably like one of their really, really small batch ones that they're going to review. They're going to come out with release at some point.
So let's get into our feature presentation for tonight, which this one's a doozy.
Yes.
Night of the Lepus from 1972, directed by William F. Claxton, starring Stuart Whitman, Janet Leigh, Rory Calhoun, Forrest Whitaker.
I think you got the wrong Forrest there.
Oh God. I was reading the rundown.
That's okay. We could, they may do a remake, and Forrest Whitaker would be fine in that role, I think. So.
I do. I was sitting there looking right at his name. DeForest Kelley, of course. But anyway,
I have to tell you though, speaking of DeForest Kelley, I'm definitely upset that there was no scene where he goes like, "Damn it, Jim, I'm a farmer," or something, or whatever he was in there.
This was his last non-Star Trek movie.
Really?
Yeah, I read that in the trivia.
That's kind of sad. He went out with this one, but it wasn't that bad actually.
Yeah,
it was actually enjoyable.
So, yeah, as you might expect, this movie, somewhere, somehow, somebody greenlit this thing and said, you know what? There's a sci-fi novel, and I believe it was called, I haven't looked it up. It's Night of the Rabbit or Year of the Rabbit.
Yeah, it was something like that. It was. I think they got it off of a Chinese restaurant menu. It was a Year of the.
Might have been. And somebody said, you know what? This would make a great movie. And this movie, the concept was so ridiculous that in the movie trailers, which you can see on YouTube, it never actually shows rabbits or mentions rabbits in the movie trailer because the movie studio was literally afraid to tell people that this movie featured giant rabbits because they thought nobody would go see it, which they probably didn't anyway, but still.
Yeah. But the funny thing is it was enjoyable.
Yeah, it's almost good in a bad movie sort of way.
Right. You have a horror icon in there. With Janet Leigh. So you already got some credit. It's got for its time period, it pretty much has those kind of tropes, like the young kid that talks way louder than every other adult in the movie for some reason, even though they're not screaming, they're just louder.
Right. Yeah.
It's got that. It's got it's got the typical kind of guy that's he thinks he's got the plan to fix everything, and it works to some degree, except there's a backfire because of the bratty kid that's got to interfere because so yeah, it's got all those fun things, but and I gotta tell you, even though it's hair parent how they do the effects. I gotta say it's still in some sequences it works well because you get caught up in the movie, forget you said, oh, that one's done. Even though it's obviously done with tons more miniatures than a Godzilla movie. And and it's literally it's just so funny. They're like, okay, let's just get really, really close on the rabbit's face,
the rabbit, yes.
And we'll make him look huge.
Let's back up just a tad. So basically, you have a ranch owner who has a rabbit problem, and at the beginning of the movie, you have this whole sequence explaining to people why animal populations are just as subject to overpopulation as humans are. And so you have this whole weird educational film before the movie.
Yeah,
about
I was like, oh my god,
Australia.
did I put the wrong one on? I literally thought maybe I got the documentary of it, and it wasn't the real movie. I'm like, oh shoot, and I just rented this on Amazon Prime. Now I probably paid for the wrong thing.
Right. So you have this rancher Cole that has a rabbit problem. And he doesn't want to use poison to kill the rabbits because he's afraid it will hurt his cattle.
Smart rancher. He knows his stuff.
Yeah, so he's a rancher. He knows his stuff.
Yeah.
So enter Roy, who is a scientist or an environmental scientist or something?
Yeah, because they're studying bats in the beginning. He's studying bats and sound effects of bats, I guess. And when he's with his family, kind of almost like the... What was the one the one that was Jane Goodall, I guess. They're studying creatures, I guess.
So Roy has the brilliant idea to let's experiment on these rabbits, which is basically what drives this entire thing. So he realizes that after they start experimenting on these normal bunnies, that some of them start growing really big.
Right.
Then we kind of unfold into the rest of the movie where, you have giant rabbits who are down in a mine. I guess they live down in a mine.
Well, yeah. Well, because the daughter, the girl, she liked the certain rabbits, and she kind of messes with the control group. And right. And the guy even says, he goes, well, as long as they don't get out into the wild without us knowing what it does, it should be fine. Which is the kiss of death in these type of movies.
Yeah, famous last words.
Yeah, so that's going to happen. So, of course, she likes this cute little rabbit, and unbeknownst to the parents who were standing literally 3 inches away, she manages to open each cage, swap the rabbits, and they're not paying attention. So obviously these scientists are so involved in their work that they didn't realize that her daughter single-handedly not only screwed their experiment up, but totally
almost destroyed the world.
Yeah, basically, almost destroyed the world, and
So, and then from that point on, this is basically a monster movie, and that's what I was thinking during this movie was, if it wasn't rabbits and it was like either some other animal or an actual creature of some sort, this movie wouldn't be half bad. It would actually be pretty entertaining because you got, like Brian was saying, you got Janet Leigh, you've got DeForest Kelley, you've got great actors.
Yeah.
It's just the concept is so ridiculous that there's no way they could make these rabbits look scary under any circumstances. And
they even close up on the teeth themselves so close, and I'm like, it's still a little rabbit.
It's a little rabbit. Yeah. Well, now, I will say, like, when we go to the pet store, every now and again they have a big rabbit adoption thing. And we went there the last time they had one. Not that I was in the market for a rabbit, which I'm not. But we just, take the kids. They don't get a chance to pet a bunny very often. So we took the kids up there, and some of those rabbits are really creepy. Like the albino ones with the pink eyes.
Oh.
Like, I don't like those at all. Like the big ones. Not the bunny. I'm talking like a big...
Yeah, those like big ones that are like, like that will plop on someone's lap and they just like sit there. Yeah,
I don't like those. Like those literally would scare me. But even in this movie, it's like, it's not like they're... if they had made this movie all about albino giant rabbits, maybe it would have been slightly scarier. But they have this mix. They got little black and white patched ones and little brown ones.
Yeah, it's like they literally... So basically, just to go back to kind of the way I said it, literally their whole effects, I mean, granted, for the time period, I mean, what else are you going to do? If this was today, it would have been all CG, and it probably would have looked much more intimidating, and they probably would have been 8 times the size of these rabbits. These rabbits are about the size, I would say, of, maybe like a rhinoceros, I guess, and they kind of come, what is kind of creepy is that they just kind of run at you, and the funny thing is the other effect that they used, which basically probably if they didn't use this effect, the movie would have been a half hour shorter. But every time you see the rabbits coming, they use this. First of all, they use the stampede effect of like that. They obviously just sat there and recorded like some kind of cattle stampede, and then doing it in slow motion, as if if it's slow motion, it's going to be a lot scarier of these rabbits coming at you, And I mean, even and they managed, though, I will say they managed to do it better than I would think, is where they had them actually on top of the people, and they did that. Like, that effect wasn't as bad as you would think leading up to those
Which was
sequences.
Literally a guy in a rabbit costume.
Yeah, it literally was, But
they edited it in such a way that it wasn't, they did lots of quick cuts. Cut to the guy with blood on him, cut to the rabbit's mouth, cut to the guy with blood, so they tried to do it fast enough that you didn't really notice, but most of the effects are literally normal rabbits hopping through dollhouse furniture.
Yeah, really,
basically.
Or like caves, or like town, like little fences. Like they're probably like, yes, we need to order 17 small houses for this film. And it was, but what the funny thing is, it was like they kind of like. The whole thing is so weird to me. I mean, I guess we could give spoilers, right? I mean, at this point,
this movie, guys,
this
don't
movie,
blame us for giving spoilers for this movie.
Yeah, I mean, you could watch this even knowing everything and still enjoy it or not enjoy it, whatever you decide. The ending sequence to me. So apparently, I guess these rabbits are they only travel at night. Number one. Then, which leads to me is like, okay, if they're not moving in the day, why don't you go after them then? But no.
Right, yeah, kill them in their burrow like you were doing at the beginning of the film.
Right, they like the launch, they blew up like a bunch of them, right? So now they decide, okay, they're moving, so we're going to wait for them, and they like enlist a complete bunch of cars from a drive-in movie. They just tell everybody, families, you name it, we need your cars.
Bring your kids out to the rabbit stampede.
Yeah, so these things we're going to... and they really kind of like don't tell them much, I guess, the group what they're in for, but they just basically have them all line up with their headlights so that the rabbits will be drawn to them.
They don't tell them, hey, Bob, Hey, come on down to the ranch next. Don't ask no questions. Just come on down.
Yeah, come on.
You'll find out.
Yeah.
You'll see.
And it's like, just imagine this plan doesn't work. It's basically like feeding frenzy. You just basically gave the rabbits a buffet, you know? So,
oh, man. Imagine the size of those pellets. Wow.
Yeah, and it's like, so I guess basically the whole theme is they're going to electrocute the rabbits as they step on the railroad track.
Yes.
It's the way I got it. But there's a fence there, too, which they did not electrify. I go figure.
And then like, what about the rabbits that make it over the track and don't actually touch it? Like,
oh, right. Yeah, there was a few that got over. Yeah,
they hop.
Yeah, yes, of course. They're very, they hop to it. And they, but...
Well, they were being very optimistic.
Yes, they were. They were very, very optimistic. Yeah, and so they so it's kind of fun. It's just the sequences in this thing, like, and of course, like, you know, what's funny is like Janet Leigh, like, I thought they make it like that she's, you know, like she's with the daughter and they're trying to escape in her thing, and she figures out that if she uses a tiny little flare and starts putting them away, the 40 other rabbits will just see the one and go away. I mean, it's so funny. It's real, like they all like were basically surviving everything else, but yet this little flare that she has in her hand seems to startle them away. So yeah, there's a lot of and the best is the daughter going, "No, mommy, no, no." Oh God, no! I'm like, I felt like saying, you know, this is really all your fault, little girl.
Yeah, you should have been fed to the rabbits as a sacrifice.
You're lucky. You got what was his name, that the poor guy in the shed killed that they went to see, like, with her and her friends.
Oh my God! And the brightest blood I've ever seen. Like, this was the most bright red 70s stage blood you could possibly imagine.
This thing, it was like, and it was the only thing that was like one of those. It's like, it almost like if it was in sepia and then Technicolor blood, you know.
Yeah.
It's like.
And they did put. I was reading. They put ketchup on the rabbit's mouth to make it look like blood. That was ketchup.
Interesting.
Which, I'm sure the rabbit wasn't very fond of. I don't think rabbits are into ketchup.
No, they didn't look very hoppy about that, you know.
But just think about a rabbit. Like, you can't make a rabbit look mean.
No, you can't. In fact, we had when Julie and I lived we were living in the house. There were we had like Bunny Central. It was so funny. There were tons of rabbits, and they were like super, super by themselves. Like, you'd come up to them and they'd let you get close to see them, but then they'd kind of scatter away, so it didn't bother you or anything. And it's not like we were like planting like cabbage that we were worried about, so we didn't care if they were there. And sometimes it was so cute, because sometimes we'd get, when they'd have the babies were like the size of your fist, and they'd be sitting there. I'd go to work and they'd be sitting there like right by my car. This little cute rabbit, and I'm like, this thing is the cutest thing. I don't care if it like attacked me. I'd be like, oh, come here, you know. But so we couldn't really get too close to them. But they were kind of like, we cohabitated with them. They kind of had their little part in the yard, and we were, you know. And the funny thing is our neighbor that didn't really like us. It was kind of fun because she liked the rabbits, but they all hung out at our house, so it was kind of fun. She would like leave food to try and entice them back, but they didn't go back there. They stayed with us.
Well, I'm just amazed that any of the actors in this movie kept a straight face through this. In fact, Janet Leigh said that she did this movie because it was close to her house and she could spend more time with her family. That's the only reason she did it, and she's basically went on record as saying she's tried to forget everything about this movie.
Really?
So she kind of disowned it. And another interesting trivia I was reading was that she specifically forbade her two daughters, one of which was Jamie Lee Curtis, of course, from being in the film because she did not want them being in a horror movie. Little did she know that
that worked out well.
Jamie Lee would become arguably the scream queen of horror films.
Yeah, you know what? If I had to pick one, I think it has to be her, because she's
arguably the most famous.
Yeah, and she's gone back. She's never forgotten her roots. She's done some of, like, when the slashers and those horror films were getting that kind of mainstream notoriety in the late 70s, early 80s and stuff. She was in all of them. I mean.
But I'll tell you, Janet Leigh, she can do no wrong in my eyes.
No.
Like, even in this movie, she's like total class act.
Oh,
she's
yeah.
Exactly like she's in every movie. She's just like elegant and serious and professional and whatever.
Yeah, and she found a way to fend off rabbits in a little trailer.
That's right. And she's resourceful.
Yes, which I think I had that Matchbox car when they did that overhead shot of it. Like, I swear, I think I had that thing, that Matchbox little trailer, the little Winnebago type of thing. I think I had that when I was a kid. Oh, my gosh.
I wish they made the Hot Wheels Night of the Lepus edition.
Oh, my God. Hey, not the Kickstarter, right? There we go.
Well, they did. They make the Walking Bed.
Kickstarter. Another Kickstarter. Well, that would be a good parody, though,
I'm tired.
The Walking Dead.
They make the Walking Dead Winnebago as well.
Oh, okay.
Which I saw in the store, which I thought was really cool. It's even got the little lawn chair and the umbrellas and stuff.
Didn't they have a Hot Wheel? Was it Hot Wheels or Matchbox? One of them did a movie series where they had like the family truckster from Vacation. And I have like one of my Supernatural sets came with a version of the Winchester brothers car.
Yeah, they did a Close Encounters of the Third Kind truck or of some sort.
Oh wait, you know who was in that movie? Richard Dreyfuss.
Yeah, we found a way to put him in the episode.
You found a way. So yeah, I would have thought he would never appear in this episode, but he found a way. He snuck in.
He found a way. Yeah, he finds a way.
Yes, he always does.
Yeah, I don't know what else to say about this movie. It's just one of those. You find it a lot on those so bad it's good list because it's really not a bad movie in terms of like pacing and stuff. Like I was never bored during it.
No, you weren't. That's the thing. I enjoyed watching it, even when we're making jokes about it. But like there's some movies like that. That's the charm of it. In all honesty, I mean, like I would have. Yes, I mean, is there a lot of cheese to it? Is there a lot of effects that aren't maybe like blockbuster caliber, but I'll tell you one thing it did is this movie was entertaining. It had a legit cast in it, and these people, I guess they took it seriously because they gave good performances.
And it's probably the only like horror movie you're gonna find about giant mutant rabbits.
Yeah, that aren't like
Well, I mean, there's probably some like Easter.
Yeah, I think there's like an Easter. Yeah, there's some kind of weird Easter bunny movie where it's literally a guy in a suit that runs around, but it's one. It's not like a whole bunch of rabbits. But yeah, they I was hoping that there was a scene would be great if like at one point when one of the rabbits was coming in and Jay and Silent Bob go in and like starts kicking its butt, like in Mallrats. That would have been cool, but I think they were like kids at that point too. Yeah. Actually, no, they were younger. This is 72. This is my birth year.
72.
So yeah, and Kevin Smith is like I think a year or two older, so he would have been really. And Jason Mewes probably not even born yet.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I would say if you have not seen this one, it's worth seeing just for laughs. I think there's a Mystery Science Theater 3000 episode on this, if I'm not mistaken. Which I'm gonna try to go track that down if I can find it.
Yeah, maybe Riff Tracks released it, for that.
Yeah.
If they don't have it, sometimes Riff Tracks releases it, and the new one.
One of those did, because I think when I was searching through my YouTube, I saw it like as one of the clips. So I'm gonna definitely check that one out because it's worth seeing for a laugh. And like I said, it's not a waste of your time in terms of it being boring or anything like that. And you get to see Janet Leigh, you get to see DeForest Kelley. So,
yeah. Anytime you see those two, it's enjoyable.
Yeah, why not?
So I guess now, so we should go, since we are reinforcing this cryptozoological theme we're having this month, so Tim has some facts he collected here on the actual real myth, kind of mythological thing, or I guess cryptozoology. Obviously, Tim is has been one of his big fascinations. So I'll let him like kind of just go into this part. But yeah, so he collected some cool stuff here.
Yeah, so Brian had the brilliant idea of not only going over the movie this month, but also delving a little bit, not too much, but a little bit into the facts surrounding the cryptid that we're discussing that week, which I thought would be a cool idea. And like Brian said, I've been a cryptozoological nerd since I was a little kid. I mean, even when I was in elementary school, I remember I would check out every book about Bigfoot, the Loch Ness Monster, Yetis, chupacabras, whatever. I don't think Chupacabra was around when I was a kid. Actually, I think that was born out.
That's
of
kind
the
of
90s.
like a recent one, right?
Yeah, I think that was like early '90s was when Chupacabra came out. But
who would have thought you could have a recent cryptozoological
like when it came out? Like,
yeah. It was released in the '90s.
Dude, yeah. Did you hear Chupacabra releases on Tuesday, man?
Right.
It's awesome. Yeah, but and Mothman and stuff like some of those weren't, but definitely Loch Ness Monster and Bigfoot were huge.
Oh
when
that was
when I was in elementary school
favorite.
because that was big in the 70s. Remember In Search of?
I was just gonna say
Leonard
when we
Nimoy.
when we that used to. I remember that episode like stuck with me out of that because it scared the hell out of me, that one, because I remember that last shot was in the woods and Leonard Nimoy's voice, like In Search of, and so like I think we need to like whenever we do whichever movie we end up doing for the Bigfoot one of this, because it's inevitable, because that's probably the most, that and the Loch Ness are probably two of the most known cryptozoological ones. I almost want to watch the In Search of episode as well to discuss it on that episode.
And my legit first horror movie in a theater was, and I don't remember which one it was because I'm so sketchy on the time period, but it was either Legend of Boggy Creek or Return to Boggy Creek. It was one of the Boggy Creek films, which is about Sasquatch.
Yeah. And I remember there was a movie called Sasquatch, too. Actually, it was just called Sasquatch, and I remember there was one scene where the guy was in the outhouse and he got attacked. That's the one thing I remember, obviously, because I think I saw it in, like, I don't know, 3rd or 4th grade, so you know
maybe
where our mind is.
Maybe that might be what it was, because I remember I was about that, gosh, I don't know, I was a little thing, and my uncle took me, and I remember thinking, this is my first legit horror movie in the theater. I was terrified. But,
oh, nice.
But anyway, so when we were researching this particular movie, I realized that there are actual sightings of giant rabbits.
And not in the malls.
No, not Easter bunnies.
Yeah.
These are actual rabbits. So I just jotted down some. The first one up was in 1954. A woman outside Burlington, New Jersey, up near Brian's neck of the woods.
Oh man, I gotta look for this. I know where that is.
She reported seeing a 4.5-foot tall rabbit.
Oh my god.
So
we should get Ariel on. She's from New Jersey, and Cone too. So maybe they know this legend.
Or maybe it was the Jersey Devil wearing who's dressed up for Easter.
Oh, that is true. Yeah, the Jersey Devil is a whole nother thing. That was one we could have actually.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah.
Yeah, because that's actually, it's funny. There's actually I've driven past the area where the supposed sighting of it was before. So
the next one up, this one, let me tell you, the giant rabbit sighting details are a little sparse compared to Bigfoot.
Yeah, this one is so detailed though. Out of all of them,
in 1958, a woman sighted a giant rabbit in Michigan. So
that's all you get.
May have been a mascot for all.
Yeah, I know, right? It was probably like, what are the that area teams? Is there like the Fighting Hares or something? Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. In 1976, another woman witnessed a rabbit the size of a deer in Dorset, England.
Now, could that have just been forced perspective? Like she saw the rabbit in front of her, and then the deer was off in the distance, and
or maybe she just saw a deer.
That's true.
I mean, deers jump like rabbits almost, like they bound. I saw a deer on a golf course one time, which you wouldn't expect to see a deer, but there he was. He did pretty good, though. He came in 3 under. So
there you go.
Anyway. 4 to 5 foot tall rabbits have been reported in Ottawa, Ontario.
That's okay. That's interesting. It's
Canadians,
not much smaller than me. I'm like 5'8", so that's 8 inches away.
And I wonder, is that standing on its hind legs? Is that with the ears extended, or is that cottontail to top of head?
Yeah, I wonder. Like that. See, I think that's the I think that's the main problem with these is they don't have the proper statistics to explain to us. Like there's no standard. There's no operational standard on when you're measuring a giant rabbit. Is it length? Is it height? Is it ears? Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Well, that's another Kickstarter. We're going to establish a giant rabbit standards board.
Right.
To determine the proper measurement of giant rabbit sightings.
There we go. We'll start the site. We'll start a website, maybe a GoFundMe.
Now this one's interesting because this gives a possible explanation.
Oh, okay.
For some giant rabbit sightings in Wisconsin, and this happened recently in 2005. Some wild kangaroos and wallabies were captured in Wisconsin. That may have been to blame for giant rabbit sightings.
So these people can't tell a kangaroo from a rabbit?
I don't know. We did a, speaking of kangaroos and wallabies, we did a kangaroo walkabout.
Oh, cool.
At the zoo this past weekend, we went to the zoo, took the kids down to the zoo, and they had a kangaroo thing where you could like walk in the cage, not a cage, but you walk in the thing with the kangaroos. So you're literally stuck on this brick path, and there are kangaroos to the left of you and kangaroos to the right of you.
And you're stuck in the middle with Roo?
Yes. Something like that.
This is definitely a pun and a parody record, I think, in Civil Gore.
Woo. Okay, yeah, but anyway, so it is kind of cool because there's literally no fences, there's no barrier, there's no ditches, there's nothing keeping the kangaroo from going over and assaulting you if it so chose. Now, these kangaroos in particular were very docile. They basically were just going about their business. They paid no attention to us whatsoever.
Maybe they had some drugs in their pouch.
Yeah, I don't know, but they were very aloof kangaroos.
Interesting.
Yeah, and wallabies.
That'd be kind of fun, though. I think that'd be fun.
It was neat. I mean, I've never been that close to a live kangaroo. But you could tell, like, when I started seeing that many in one area, I kind of understood, like, in Australia, where they're kind of like pests.
Yeah.
They're kind of considered, like, nuisances. Like, people aren't, like, taking pictures of them. They're like, ugh, get away.
Okay, enough of you. I just saw you last down the block, you know.
Yeah, when I saw a bunch of them in one place, I was like, ugh, like, I can kind of see where this would be annoying.
That's sad. Yeah. Kangaroos have been ruined for you forever. They've been kangarooned.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess just don't put them all in one place. Like,
yeah, spread them out for Tim, will you?
Yeah. Anything concentrated in one area, you kind of get tired of.
True.
So, except for roller coasters, but anyway.
And beer.
And beer, that's right. And finally, the UK and Ireland has a rich history of giant rabbits, and they're called king hares, which I thought was cool. That's a cool name. There have been multiple reports of giant rabbits or king hares in the UK and Ireland. And I didn't list all the sightings, but there are numerous sightings of these giant rabbits in the UK. And there is an actual breed of quote-unquote giant rabbit that is domesticated, which is the continental giant. And those have gotten up to 55 pounds. But, of course, nothing reaching the dimensions of an actual giant hare, which are considered 4 to 5 feet tall, or the size of a deer. Nothing approaching that. But these rabbits are pretty freaking huge. If you go Google continental giants, they are freakishly large.
Yeah. Well, and that reminds me too, and I think we left this off the rundown, but speaking of the king hare, in 1979 I saw the movie Hare, but I think it was completely different. That's the problem. This one starred Treat Williams and John Savage.
Yeah, and all the rabbits appeared nude. It was disgusting.
Yes, including Beverly D'Angelo.
That's a stretch.
That was a big one.
That's a big stretch.
That was a big stretch. Okay.
Wow.
Oh, but you know who was in that? Charlotte Rae. That movie. I forgot. She was in Hare. Way
Really?
to bring her back. Yeah.
Well, she did have big hair.
She did. So
In Facts of Life, so.
We got it all this episode. Damn.
It all comes full circle.
Yeah. Okay.
And I guess nobody's going to the movies this week because there's nothing out for theatrical releases for March 30th.
I see.
Not for a horror, that is.
Yeah, I see what you did to Hare.
Yeah. Oh God, there's a big one though. Ready Player One.
Yes, Ready Player One is Definitely. That I have my tickets already. As this drops, I'll be seeing it the following day, Saturday after the Seder. On Saturday, we're going to see Ready Player One that night. That's gonna be a fun movie, I think. Regardless if you read the book or not, I don't think it's going to be as good as the book, of course, because the book is just way too epic to ever translate on film. I think, but yet I still think you got the right guy at the helm of this movie to make it. So,
he's the only guy that could have done it.
Yeah, the only one. So, I mean, basically, because the book at some level was an homage to a lot of his stuff. So, it's him and George Lucas and all that stuff. So, yeah, in fact, I dare to say the only guy that could probably pull it off. But we'll see. Hopefully.
All right, so I couldn't find any special features for this one. But here's the synopsis. When the truck slammed into Kai Nigai's body, he should have died instantly. Instead, the high school student finds himself resurrected with all of his wounds somehow healed. However, Kai's real problems are just starting. Now revealed to be an Asian?
What is that? Wait, what is this? A jinn? What is that?
A jinn? I don't know. Ajin.
Yeah,
One of a mysterious new breed of demi-human.
Oh, well, there you go.
That
That's
begun
what it is.
appearing around. You just waited to. They gave you the explanation right in the sentence, Brian.
We're too impatient.
Impatience.
Well, I'm
now revealed to be an Ajin, one of a mysterious new breed of demi-human that have begun appearing around the world. He's been marked with an international bounty, and in the eyes of the world's governments, Kai is a specimen to be contained by any means possible. Now he's on the run, unable to trust anyone except his closest friend, and his only hope is to discover the terrifying secrets behind his new abilities before he's forced to use them in battle. When you have an infinite number of lives ahead of you, death is only the beginning.
That's a good one.
I didn't see who... Oh, I forgot to put down who stars in this one, but it's a bunch of people you've never heard of, or who it's directed by. But it's being released by Sentai Filmworks, year 2017. This is Ajin Demi-Human Season 2. Oh, that's why.
It's a show.
It's a show,
okay.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. I probably assume it'd be on Netflix or something.
Yeah. I had to kind of stretch this week for dismemberments because I had actually included some like anime-flavored horror titles in there because we just didn't have a lot, really. But I'll include those. If they're classified horror, I'll typically try to include those. But anyway.
I mean, we had Outer Limits. That's, so.
Yeah. No special features on this next one. Synopsis: a Tokyo college student is attacked by a ghoul, a superpowered human who feeds on human flesh. He survives, but has become part ghoul and becomes a fugitive on the run. This one stars Masataka Kuboda, Fumika Shimizu, and Nobuyuki Suzuki.
Wow, you did that. That was good. Those are some tricky names.
Yeah,
do you think at one point he says, "Ghouls out for summer"? No. Okay.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure. Does he have a ghoul friend? Directed by Kentaro Hagiwara, released by Funimation Entertainment. Year 2017, disc title Tokyo Ghoul the Movie.
As opposed to Tokyo Ghoul, what else?
Well, yeah, Tokyo Ghoul I think was an anime series. This is actually a live action adaptation.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
There. All right. Moving right along, this one has new 4K uncensored remaster, documentary, interviews, and an audio commentary for select scenes. So this is a pretty packed disc.
Yeah.
An ex-priest escapes from an asylum and kills people in God's name. This is a re-edited Spanish-language version of La Aventure de Notre Dame. And XXX version Sexorcismus with newly shot scenes.
So wait, they took two movies, one of them a porno, mixed them together, and now released it on 4K? 4K version?
I don't know. This stars Jesus Franco.
He's back, didn't he? Wasn't he on another Dismemberment?
Franco.
Yeah.
I don't know. I thought we said it was James Franco.
Yeah, we said it's him in disguise, yeah.
Yeah. Lena Romay, Olivier Mathot. Directed by Jesus Franco. He must be like a Paul Nashi type character.
I was thinking that. Yeah, he must be. But I this one intrigues me just because I literally I'm rereading the synopsis. I'm still not sure what they're doing. It literally sounds like they took two movies, mashed them together. One of them literally being a porno, and then
I'm wondering if this. I'm just wondering because I believe Sexorcismus was released separately. I just didn't include it because it wasn't horror. It was more like porno. Yeah, I mean that's. So I don't know if they got this. They just threw the synopsis for both of them in the same IMDb type. I don't know. You have to. You're on your own with this one.
Yeah, you guys can research that.
It's being released by Severin Films, year 1979. The disc is The Sadist of Notre Dame.
Yes.
Or if you're a basketball fan, Notre Dame.
Yes, Notre Dame.
Next one up, new remaster with color correction, interviews, and an audio commentary.
I don't think I've ever seen that, by the way, where that's described, new remaster with color correction, where they've actually been so specified.
Yeah, it has actual color correction. I guess it was like a legitimate, like, they really went through and color corrected this.
Yeah, I wonder what it must have been.
And there's some weird thing about Phyllis Diller's in this movie, or she's tied to this movie somehow, because they kept mentioning Phyllis Diller and all the extra features. I was like, enough with the Phyllis Diller.
Yeah, why? And she's not even listed in the starring thing.
I know. I don't know. But anyway, children turned into zombies. I like it already.
Yes.
Wreak havoc in a coroner's building with just a burned-out psychic, an experienced cop, and two coroners to stop the madness.
That's like the dream team, though. If you're going to go against zombies, that's what you want. You want a burnt-out psychic,
which I'm hoping was Phyllis Diller.
Right.
Phyllis Diller would be the perfect burned out psychic, I think.
I hope, actually, based on who's starring this, I hope it's Norman Fell, because I'd like to see him in the middle of it all of a sudden just look at the camera and smile like he did in Three's Company as he's being mauled to death by zombies.
Yeah.
Children. That would be the greatest.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Well, this stars Ed Nelson, Deborah Rose, and the aforementioned Norman Fell.
Yes.
Directed by James Cummins, released by Code Red, 1991's The Boneyard.
Yes. No Vinegar Syndrome this week. I'm a little disappointed.
Now, this one has one of those VHS covers you've seen, which is like the Vicious Poodle. You know what I'm talking about? It's a Vicious Poodle.
I think so. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I've seen it. In
If
fact, I
you
want to say
saw it,
I've seen this movie on one of the, like, either Amazon Prime or Netflix, like, recently. The Boneyard. Oh my God! Wait a minute. This was 91. Norman Fell was still
91.
alive then, unless he plays the zombie. I don't know. When did he? I know, and he's one of my favorite actors, like, in existence. I want to see. Wait a minute. Really? He was in this in 91?
Yeah, he died in 1998. So.
Wow. So he had to live with this film for 7 years.
Yeah.
Poor dude.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Norman
Poor
Fell's
Mr.
great,
Roper.
by the way.
I love
Yes.
Mr. Roper.
I do too. I mean, I have to say, as much as I love Norman Fell and the Ropers, I was more of a Mr. Furley guy because he had some of the more classic episodes.
Gosh. Yeah, Mr. Furley was the best.
I mean,
we could do a whole episode on Three's Company.
We really could. In fact, maybe that'll be one of our really off topic episodes.
Yeah.
I have to get my friend Mark on, though, my best friend Mark, because he's like, we used to, like, that was our show, like, watching Three's Company for years, and we'd always watch especially the Mr. Furley ones, like the one, like, where Jack was trying to do the restaurant and Mr. Furley was helping him out at the waiter. That was a classic one.
The Regal Beagle.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Gotta go the Regal
Although
Beagle.
I will say, because in Three's Company, you always had the instance where they're, like, hanging a shower curtain or something, they're behind closed doors, and it sounds dirty.
Yes.
From their conversation, like, just stick it in.
Yeah.
And always it's either Mr. Furley or Mr. Roper is outside the door. I always thought Mr. Roper's expressions were priceless when he was listening in on these quote unquote dirty conversations. Like, I loved his take on that.
Well, yeah, because Mr. Furley was, it's funny because he was a little more hipper, so he just kind of had like the more like the zoinks, like Scooby Doo reaction. Where Mr. Roper was almost had that like oh my God, like deer caught in the headlights, like I've never heard such a thing reaction.
Genuinely appalled.
Yeah. Because it's so funny. Meanwhile, but yet he had no problem with Mrs. Roper and these like weird like flowing bathrobes or whatever she wore all the time. So
So now I have to ask you.
Yes.
The question you have to ask every Three's Company fan.
Yes.
Are you a Chrissy, a Cindy, or a Terry?
I think I will go with I think I'll go with Chrissy, just because she was, the classic, and Suzanne Summers was so great. I mean, now it's funny, the funnier episodes I think had featured Terry in it, because that also was down where, was more towards the end of the seasons where like Mr. Furley was in there full time. But I think I would have to go with I'm definitely a classic person, so I go back to the original, so I'm definitely I think I would have to say a Chrissy fan the most.
Yeah, for the comedic purposes, I have to go with Chrissy, but for crush purposes, I was a total Cindy.
Oh, you're right. Well, she was what was it? Was it Tank? She was in the one Jenny Harrison, and she was also. I remember. I think I had a Playboy or something with her in it when I was a young.
I was a total Cindy fan at the time. But anyway, although Terry in a nurse's outfit,
you can't go wrong with either three of them.
Yeah, no.
In all honesty, you can't.
And poor Janet caught in the middle.
No, but she was always. I was crushing on all of them when I was. You kind of even. What was the one? What was that? When I remember Leslie Easterbrook was on that. From Police Academy, she was in there.
Yeah.
They knew how to get their audience.
And that's how you get from a Killer Poodle movie to Three's Company.
Exactly. It's all Norman Fell's fault.
And we have, first up, special features, alternate ending, 8 deleted scenes, 3 featurettes, packed disc. Actually, it is a pretty packed disc for Sony release.
Yeah.
This is the synopsis is parapsychologist Dr. Elise Rainier faces her most fearsome and personal haunting yet in her own family home, starring the fantabulous Lin Shaye, Leigh Whannell, and Angus Sampson, directed by Adam Robitel, released by Sony. Insidious: The Last Key. This is my pick of the week.
And mine too.
I think it was our only choice, really.
Yeah, I mean,
I have not seen it yet, though.
yeah, no, I haven't either. And I think what I'm going to do is, I don't think Julie's seen the other ones before it. So I think when I'll probably pick this one up and just have a nice, do a whole binge, watch them all.
Actually, I don't think I've seen 3. I may not have seen part 3.
I can't remember. Now that you said that, I can't remember if I've seen 3 either. Because I kind of get it confused with
Conjuring.
Yeah, that, and there's another series. I get what's the other one? Sinister, and they're all like,
oh yeah.
At some level they're so similar at some spots that you in terms of the timing they were released and the theme of it and the way they were marketed, they all kind of blend in sometimes.
They do have a similar look and feel.
Yeah,
all the James Wan type connected.
Right. Yeah, that whole
pictures. But
yeah.
I think I do want to at some point sit down and just do a complete Insidious marathon.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Like, I'm gonna do that. I think I'll just do that when I get this one, because I have a feeling this might be the last one, or if not the last. I mean, even though it did well, remember, I think we reported that it did pretty well.
It did well, yeah.
Yeah, so you never know. There could be another one. I just can't see the longevity of like a Lin Shaye still doing it. I mean, I don't know what happens in this one, so for all we know, that could answer our question. But
Lin Shaye was on a recent episode of the Shockwaves podcast, and she was really, really good.
Yeah, well, she's just great anyway.
She just was a great interviewee, I guess, and she talked about doing the films and stuff. It's definitely worth seeking out that recent episode with her on it.
Yeah, she's like that scream queen now for like the older generation,
Wait, no, please, God, no, don't cut off my...
And so this is our discmemberment for our Blu-ray releases for April 3rd, 2018. Let's get right into it. Our discmemberment.
So yeah, and finally we have in our first chapter we have the Sea of Thieves game, which it's not really horror, but there are some horror elements, but there's more of a Civil Gore connection than you might first think. So it's one of these. It's basically a multiplayer pirating adventure, and let me tell you, the game is amazing. I mean, Tim and I have played it with our group, and one of them, of course, including our good friend Steve Cohn, who was so fun to kill on Friday the 13th. Well, this gives you brand new ways to kill Steve Cohn in the game.
Yeah,
he's
always good.
Yeah, I mean, you can launch him out of a cannon. It
should be an achievement. There should be Xbox achievements for killing Steve Cohn.
It is. I think we need to send that into them. You're right, because that I know, like Dom and Ken, we all have enjoyment of it. No offense, and we all love Steve Cohn because he's like the nicest guy ever. But it's fun to kill him in video game form.
That's why he's fun to kill, because he's nice.
And he enjoys it. So in this game, it's like basically you're a pirate and you do everything a pirate can do, from drinking grog, vomiting all over, dancing a jig, playing instruments, sailing.
I do that without being a pirate.
That is true. Tim and I have done that before without being a pirate. But this game, at least, it's a lot safer because there's nothing to clean up, And it's just a really fun game where you go on missions, and you could sail either a giant galleon, where literally the 4-person crew is extremely important to have on that ship. And I mean, you could be attacked by a kraken, you get attacked by skulls and skeletons, other ships. It's really just a fun game. So we've literally launched Cohn out of a cannon. I've seen him be picked up off the ship by a kraken tentacle. Mm-hmm. and destroyed. I've seen him get blown off a ship and drown.
I will say though, the game really shines when you have a group of friends that can play as a crew and go around. I don't know that it's got enough content yet for like solo play.
Well, actually, there was a 10 gig update today that fixed a bunch of stuff. It still didn't add the achievements. Funny you were talking about the achievement. Didn't add the achievement things, but it added. I think it created a lot of the graphics thing. But I will have to say, even though they were talking about some of the graphics, like on the islands to Switch, I have never seen more realistic water effects.
Oh yeah,
in a
the
game
water
ever.
effects are great. Yeah,
I can't imagine what the 4K version looks like. Because
Oh,
just on the
beautiful.
regular one, you literally can get seasick on this. Like Dom was saying the other night when he was playing with us, he was literally getting a little queasy because we were in a storm and you're literally going up and down and up, and it's as mesmerizing when you're on the water, especially if you're at night. You look up, you see the stars. It's really visually such a cool game. But it's funny, like the pirates themselves are cartoony. You know,
Yeah,
like
it's got a cartoon style to it.
but
for sure.
surrounded by like some amazing scenery as you're on the boat.
Now, the Friday the 13th game has an interesting new feature that's coming to cut down on players who quit games.
Thank God.
You know, yeah, I mean, you know the griefers out there that basically they'll start a match, and if they start losing or something, they'll just quit out or that kind of stuff. So the developers came up with this kind of ingenious method to cut down on that. So tell them about that, Brian.
Yeah, so I've never personally heard of them. I mean, I'm not a huge multiplayer gamer, so to speak. I mean, I played the Call of Duties, I played a little bit of Destiny, but I've never heard of this thing. They're basically calling it they will pay you in salt. So anyone that, like, if you're a host and you quit, or you try and quit while you're getting killed or whatever, quit for whatever reason, basically ruining the game for everyone, they basically pay you in salt. And I guess if you get enough salt, they send you to the salt mines, which that's the part I was a little iffy on. I'm not sure what it does, but they basically said it's not a permanent thing. It's just enough, I think, to do it enough time to discourage you. So basically,
Yeah.
I think I guess it affects you points wise.
It's basically, they put you on your own server, and you can only play against other salt.
Oh, right, that's what it was. Yes. So yeah,
Yeah.
you're basically indebted, which is kind of interesting, and that's going to get released at the end of the month, end of April, I should say. 'Cause we're still in March as we're recording this. It's end of the April when the new patch gets released with all the bunch of stuff. So that's going to be a big one. That's almost like that'll probably be a 8 to 10 gig patch, because they're basically redoing the whole engine at that point, fixing all the bugs, all the stuff. I think they're going to add the new maps, like the Grendel and the Jason X. So there's going to be a lot of stuff. So at the end of April, I'm sure we'll have a lot of news with that, and we can kill Steve Cohn in yet another way again.
New and fascinating ways.
Yes.
So I took a break from the backlog project this week. Every now and again, especially now that I'm getting down to smaller list of titles, I think I'm down to like only 14 or 15 discs left in my backlog.
Oh my God.
And yeah,
It's kind
I'm
of sad.
I know. I don't know what I'm going to do besides spend money.
You'll have
But
to buy
anyway,
new discs.
I know. But you start getting the same disc over and over, right? So I had an instance where I had to basically watch two Thing commentaries like back to back. And then the next one up, it hit the Thing again. So then it was like, you got to go through the extra features. Well, the features on this disc, it's got an entire disc full of bonus features. I'm talking hours of documentaries and stuff.
Oof.
So I was like, I'm, as much as I love the Thing, I'm all thinged out right now.
Yeah.
So I decided just to take a week off, kind of take a little break from the movie so I can go back fresh into the backlog project. And plus, I just kind of wanted to watch some different stuff that I don't necessarily own. So the first one up I watched was one of those, you're scrolling through Netflix, you see something that looks kind of cool, so you go, I guess I'll just watch this one. And it was called Bedeviled from 2016. And
I think I've seen that.
Yeah, it's got a great little mascot, I guess. It's kind of a creepy Joker-looking guy on the logo. So I said, well, I'll give that one a shot. And, oh, man, talk about a brilliant concept wasted.
Yeah.
So the concept was basically pretty good. The concept was, what if we took Nightmare on Elm Street and basically updated it to the modern age? And instead of Freddy coming to kill you in your dreams, there's an app on your phone that is basically causing these living nightmares or whatever, so that putting you into exploiting your darkest fears. So
Isn't that like isn't that what the Slender Man thing is about? That movie coming out? Is that similar? I'm not
could
sure
be.
what the Slender Man is about, really. In
Yeah.
all honesty, I'm a bad horror host. I don't know.
yeah,
I know it's
Slender
something
Man's
with an
not
app.
really an app.
Oh, it's not.
I don't know. I don't know if the movie is, but like the Slender Man myth doesn't really have anything to do with an app.
But what's the game? I always see the games, the Slender Man.
Oh, there is a game. Yeah, they made a game off of the.
Oh,
myth
that's
of
something
it,
different,
but,
though?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But this one's there's an app they put on their phone, and it's almost like an AI overlay that basically talks back and forth to these people. And this was my first problem with the movie. As an IT guy, I can't stand when they put like IT stuff in a movie that just is completely defies belief. And I know you got to run with it. You know, you just got to go with it. But in this case, I just couldn't take the fact that the characters didn't think this was that odd of an ordeal that an app would self-install itself on your phone. Okay, we can buy that. B, it apparently is completely artificially intelligent and aware of everything. Like you can hold normal human conversations with it.
Was it like Her, the horror movie?
It's like it was a guy, but then
So
like
him?
It controls all the lights in your house. It can control your TV.
Wait, I have that app. It's the Hue app. Wait a minute. So my Philips Hue app is going to start attacking me? Bad enough it turns on automatically at sundown. But
it was so ridiculous. Like this app is just like this all-knowing, all-seeing. And they act like they're okay with that. You know, like I would be like, delete that crap already. You know, I'd be like all over it, like wipe my phone.
Wait, can I steal a line from Sarah Marshall with Russell Brand? He just plays like, just take out the battery. Movie's over. You know, like when he like, can't you just turn your phone off?
Oh my god, yeah, it was so ridiculous. These kids are running around with this app. Oh, this is a new app, but it's on my phone, dude. Yeah, I don't know where it came from. You know, it came from Sarah's phone. And they're just like talking to it, and so I'm like,
god,
jeez. But there's then there's like there's of course the big conversation scene where they try to explain for the audience how something like this could affect electromagnetic waves, and and this guy with a straight face, he's like, I actually heard about this where if you use technology too much, it can change your brain chemistry. And
for the love of God. Like, it was that bad. Yeah.
Yeah, and the main girl in it drove me bonkers because she had one of those like California accents where like she can't, like she's too lazy to enunciate her words.
Oh,
and she's like,
no.
So she's like, guys, Sarah didn't die for nothing. We have to get this out of her phone. It's like, just like enunciate. You're an actress. Enunciate.
Well, was that the blonde?
Yes.
Oh, her name is Saxon Charbino. That name just describes all that you said.
I'm not trying to be like ugly to her, but it's just like I just can't stand when like these actors are like I'm not an actor. I'm a podcast person. Like I know I don't enunciate properly most of the time, but then again, I'm not like an actress. Or an actor. Like I'm just run a podcast and I do that really half-assedly. So
well, there's a best person cast in this movie. Her name is Victory Van Toyle. There's another blonde.
Oh, this movie was so bad. It's not that, it's just that okay, it violates the 3 B's. Number 1. There's no boobs. There's almost no blood, and there's almost no body count.
Wait a minute. How is this like it's look, how dare it, actually.
I know. And I'm not the type, like, I will say, in this modern era, like, I do not have to have boobs in a movie.
No, of course not.
Don't have to have boobs in a movie. If the movie's good, I don't care about that. But this movie violates the 3 B's so blatantly that it offended me. And it's the most corporate, generic, formulaic movie, cookie cutter. Like the list of adjectives I can do about how just by the book, formulaic, boring.
So I think it has a new 3 B's, right? So it's a bad, boring, and bullshit, right? That sounds
yes, there you go. That is.
There you go.
It does satisfy those 3. I cannot recommend BEDEVILED. It has a kind of a cool mascot guy, but you only see him at the end of the movie, and the rest of it is like a
and
really
the artwork looks good for it.
Yeah, I don't know. It looks. I mean, great job on the marketing. It sucked me into watching this kind of train wreck. But yeah, it's the worst kind of PG-13 horror. It's just ugh.
And so you people out there, if you decide with Tim's a brilliant review of it, and if that didn't entice you to see it, be careful. There is another movie called BEDEVILED with an extra L in it. And that looks like that is a, I don't know if it's I can't tell where this is from. It might be a Korean horror film. that's completely different. Has nothing to do with this one. This one is
it's automatically probably better than
it's a woman subject to mental, physical, and sexual abuse on a remote island seeks a way out. So it's definitely not that movie that Tim just watched.
No.
But yeah, well, this one got rated like 7 out of 10. So, and Tim's Bedeviled got 4 out of 10. So there you go, right there.
But guys, when you're on Netflix, make sure you pick out the best movie. Pick out the right movie, not the wrong movie.
Poor Tim. But look what Tim does for you guys out there. He sits through that.
I was probably way too harsh on that movie, by the way, but I don't know. I felt mean-spirited. So it's not that bad, but it's pretty bad. Okay, moving right along. Speaking of bad, I'm just kidding, Cody. Just kidding, Cody. Lords of Salem. Yeah, poor Cody. Lords of Salem. 2012. This is the one single Rob Zombie film I had not seen to date. And I was like, you know what? I need to rectify that situation. So I'm going to watch Lords of Salem. And so I did. And let me tell you, I actually really liked this movie for the first, 3/4 of it. It's a very slow burn. It's very, very different from Rob Zombie's other films. It does not have that grindhouse 70s feel that he does with Devil's Rejects and House of a Thousand Corpses and 31. It does not have that. It's more of, reminded me a lot more of like the still 70s, but more of the Italian giallo type stuff and the Paul Naschy stuff I'm watching.
Oh, okay.
The kind of, because it has to do with witches and that kind of thing. So it's kind of a slow burn. But anyway, in it, Sherry Moon Zombie stars in it. She plays this radio DJ that gets a...
Is her name Stretch in it or no?
No. But she gets a album in the mail by the Lords of Salem. And when she plays this music, it has a strange effect on her. So basically, you come to the understanding that she has some tie to the Salem witches back in the day, who were real witches.
That's a cool premise, though.
It is a cool premise, and I like the characters in it. I love the actors. Actually, I've always been a little critical of Sherry Moon's acting ability, which a lot of people are. But I thought she was great in this role.
I don't think she's that bad.
She's not bad. Yeah. She's not bad. I think people are a little harsh on her. She's not that bad. She's not like a super great actress.
No, but she also gets the whole nepotism, automatic judgment. Oh, he's only in that because she's married to Rob Zombie. She would have never been cast in there. Well, at Baby, she was incredible. And then so in that she was good, and I thought she was fine as Michael Myers' mom. I didn't like the way they took her character, but what they gave her, she seemed to hit right. I just didn't think. Yeah, well,
you would like her in this movie. She doesn't. One thing I really liked about it, she doesn't play like the sex pot in this movie. She plays she plays a little more mature woman that's kind of been rode hard and kind of lived life, and I kind of like that. Kind of suited her character more, and so I really liked her in this one. And the movie just it was entertaining. It was a very slow burn, like I said. Not a whole lot goes on from this movie, but the visuals were really cool. I like the premise, and then something happens in the last 20 minutes of the movie. This thing goes completely off the freaking rails. Completely off the rails.
No.
And I may have to watch it again just to make sure I'm not crazy. But the last 20 minutes of this movie threatens to destroy the entire film, because it's almost as if they ran out of budget and they basically said, oh, holy crap, we're 3 weeks over budget. Just wrap it, guys. Just finish it up. We'll fix it in editing. Just throw everything at it. I don't know what else to do.
Oh, no.
And it was just complete train wreck, the last end of this movie. I don't know what happened, but I just feel like this could have been a really, really cool movie, and oh my god, they just ruined it. I don't know what
I hate when they do that.
I don't know
too.
I don't know. It's it was so frustrating because this movie got slammed when it came out. I remember it getting critically panned, and that's the only reason I never watched it, actually, is because of that. And when I started watching this and was like halfway through the movie, I'm like, I actually really like this movie. I actually think this is kind of cool. And then for them to just ruin it like that in the ending, just it killed me. It could have been better. Could have been better, but yeah. Sorry, Cody, if this is one of your favorites, but not my cup of tea. I'm still sticking with Devil's Rejects, and House of a Thousand Corpses are still my favorite.
I'm sure Cody will forgive you.
Yeah.
You said it in dulcet tones, so that's okay.
Well, I mean, like I said, I loved the first 3/4 of the movie. Like, I liked it, so it wasn't, it's not the whole movie. It's just part of the movie.
So maybe she'll only be a quarter mad at you.
Yeah, that's all right. That's all right. I'll take it. So let's get right into our first chop. Hey there, everybody. Welcome to episode 52 of the Civil Gore podcast. I am your host, Tim.
And I'm your host, Brian.
And you guys have only Brian to blame for our terrible feature movie this week.
Oh, come on, Tim. Don't rab it in.
So, yeah, we've got an interesting title tonight.
Yes. It is Night of the Lepus.
Night of the Lepus, 1972. The probably the only killer bunny movie you've ever seen that doesn't feature a monster type bunny. These are actual rabbits.
Yes, these are killer rabbits. These are full on actual rabbits used. Well, supposedly none were harmed in the making of that film, but yes, they were actually rabbits used. So,
which reminds me of a joke, Brian.
Let's hear it.
I've got a rabbit joke.
Well, I'd like to hear it. Or actually, I'd like to hear it.
All right. Well, there you go. Well, so a couple are driving down the road, and the man's driving, and he hits a rabbit, runs right over it. So the wife is distraught. She says, "Stop the car! Stop the car!" So they stop the car. They both get out. There's the poor little bunny lying dead in the middle of the road. So the woman runs back to the car. She reaches inside her purse. She grabs a can. She runs back to the rabbit. She sprays something all over it. And then she stands back. And the bunny stands up. He looks at the couple. And he waves to them. And he hops off. And he turns back and he waves again. He hops off. Turns back and waves again. The guy goes, "Honey, that was a miracle. What in the world did you have in that can?" And she said, "It's hair restorer with permanent wave."
Oh, God. Oh, God. Oh,
that was
boy.
terrible, wasn't it?
All right. I'll give you one,
okay.
too. I guess I should give one back, right?
Okay, give one back.
Okay.
One.
What do you call a bunny who was raised in a hotel?
I have no idea. What do you call a bunny raised in a hotel?
An ingrown hair.
I actually like that one.
It wasn't that bad. Oh, God. Sorry,
yours
now
was
I'm coughing.
Definitely better.
Yours
was definitely better.
Yeah, Larry,
God.
this is, as you can tell now, where it's we're starting late tonight, so Tim and I are already loopy in the beginning of this episode. You can imagine what you have in store for you.
Yeah, and so I know you guys are dying to hear more rabbit puns.
Yeah.
So
I guess we should move on, right? Let's get going.
I guess we should move on.
Attention. Due to the nature of the films discussed, the Civil Gore podcast may contain adult language and themes.
So, Brian, you think anybody's still listening to this thing?
I doubt it. I think the whole April Fool's thing is got maybe they didn't get it. I don't know. You think I don't even know if they made it this far. Maybe they turned it off.
Yeah, or deleted it. I don't know.
I don't know. Well, I guess we'll find out in the ratings. I guess, right? I mean, I don't know, but I guess they should probably maybe get their whatever podcast they're gonna, which is the heir apparent to our podcast, I guess.
Well, maybe somebody out there will get it.
Yeah, somebody or nobody. We'll know soon enough, I guess. But anyway, we should probably get going for real now. So I guess I have some stuff to do, so I better hop to it.
Yeah, I need to get some Leap tonight.